I have two more questions for you. The first one is, what do you wish you had known about doing qualitative research when you were in grad school that you didn't learn until later in your career?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. A lot of anthropology programs kind of go light on the methods courses. We know that. And I think one of the good things about schools and colleges of education is that, many of our colleges and schools of education have pretty good explicit coursework in qualitative methodology, which is a good thing. And I think in anthropology programs, there's kind of this assumption that you just gotta get out and do it, right? Yeah. And I think one of the things that I've learned, and I think you've probably learned too, and a lot of us have learned, is that you will learn a great deal in the doing. You'll learn a great deal in the doing. But you kind of have to have confidence that you're going to be learning things throughout the course of your project, and that the learning is going to be generative, right? And I think one of the hardest things for people that don't do qualitative work to understand about qualitative work is the emergent nature of our designs. And that indeed we are going to learn things in the course of our data collection that we hadn't anticipated, and that's a good thing.
That's
right?
The point, right?
That's the point, and that, but that can create quite a lot of discomfort, unease, uncertainty. And so, the emergent nature of our designs is something that you kind of only really learn, and it kind of only hits home once you experience it. When you begin to see patterns, but then you begin to talk to people that don't fit this pattern, you realize this is a negative case, and I have to pursue this, and moreover, I have to adjust my research questions so I can go down this pathway that this person is taking me down that I hadn't anticipated. And that's really important, and that's the kind of thing that you only, I think for a lot of us, only hits home once you have that experience. And part of it is also, I think, in a lot of our projects that, you tend to learn more towards the end of a project, once your relationships have deepened and you've established more trustworthy participant relationships with people. And trying to get to that point, it can take a while, and just the things we do to establish relationships, to be helpful, to be reciprocal, to do things, to take on roles that other people carve out for us. That all is part of the process. Yeah.
I just want to ask a short follow-up to that. Is there anything you've learned specifically about data analysis that you wish you had known back during the dissertation? I know you've done a lot of work in the area of data analysis.
Yeah, I think one of the things that helps, and you and I, we've talked a lot about data analysis and interpretation over the years, and I really respect the way that you go about that. I really do think it's helpful to think about moving back and forth between your data and available theory in literature. And that, again, is something that I've learned, I think, over time. Is kind of, tacking back and forth, that is one metaphor for this, as you're trying to move into the wind if you're in a sailboat, between the emic and the etic points of view. And I think that is a very generative and creative process. And so, so for me, in terms of the work that I did in suburban Ohio, using important concepts like Foucault on governmentality and techniques of the self, Bourdieu's theory of capital, psychological capital, Sherry Ortner, and then elaborating that given the data that I've collected. And that's where I think, again, a unique contribution can come from, is trying to synthesize what you have learned through the voices and experiences of your participants with, available theory, but then conceptualizing, and so, for example, hyper-credentialing, another concept that came out of that as well. And that's where, you and I know this. A lot of our contributions lie, so your notion, with Ophelia Garcia of additive schooling, that's a very powerful, important concept, and it's concise. And that's the kind of contribution that qualitative researchers can make to the broader world of educational practice and policy.